Alright, making a video. Yeah, out and about. Quite the weekend condition still. Otherwise, a bad cold. Nasty. Fever and whatever. And, ugh. Anyway, that's your problem. This is my problem. Happens. Shit happens, as they say, but apparently not. So, that's the irony of this conversation. Is there is no shit. There's no bad in the universe. There's no wrong. There's no problem. Yeah, nothing to see here. Inconsequential. And clearly, I'm arguing that no, there is consequential, and that real consequential happened when organisms acquired consciousness. That's consequential. The rest of it is just stuff banging off of each other. Everything else is just stuff banging into each other. But when the stuff bangs into each other in such a way as to create consciousness, yeah, something else is happening. Something that matters. Something significant. Something that justifies the creation of words like bad and shit and foobar and whatever. You've now created meaningful language. You've now created a reason to have a meaningful conversation because something is at stake. There's win and there's lose. There's success, there is fail. There is efficiency and there is inefficiency. Productive, destructive. It matters now. It is significant. It is important. What other word can we apply to this problem of realizing that indifference is not the right answer? It's a wrong answer. So anyway, sorry. So in the newer video, the Mystic, I'll play this one too, but I'll get to it eventually. He was using emotions as a point of argument. So let's say the first sensation wasn't an ouch, but was instead love. This is this example. And first off, we don't even have a definition of that, so I don't even know what that means beyond a desire to satisfy a depressed ego. I mean, needing love is really just needing validation. You need something to want you, to need you, to appreciate you, because your ego, you feel inadequate or insufficient, so you need love or something like that. Then of course there's just lust, which you could have used, I suppose. But anyway, let's just play with the now combining of visceral, simple sensations with more complex sensations, and as if they're equal. And this is like in the physics argument. This would be like denying the existence of the distinction between a photon and an electron and a neutron, the nucleus and the orbitals. This would be like denying the fundamental constituents of the model, to sit there and say, I can't tell the difference between a sensation of pain and an emotion. So I would argue that these are very different things, and they may be made of each other, but they're not the same thing. You don't talk about them like they're the same thing. An emotional reaction is a much more complex neurological activity than the sensation of a raw physical pain. And I would argue that it's in how the piano is played, or the note, we could even say. So let's say pain is a note played on the brain, and it's just the pressing of a key, dong, 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 dong. And at certain frequencies, certain speeds, the pain is heard. And then at certain other frequencies, we don't hear it because it's too quick. So it's like high frequency sounds that we don't hear, and very low frequency sounds that we don't hear. We have a range of perception. So I could argue that this is much like this system of emotion is just a complexity built into the pressing of the key. The key is now pressed in a more complex manner, creating multiple frequencies, and that only bits and pieces of it are heard, and they're heard in a manner. It's certainly produced in a brain moving much quicker than consciousness is. Consciousness is really slow. It takes me a long time to think and talk and do all this stuff, where my brain is making the sentences really fast. My brain is composed. This whole video, in a sense, it's way ahead of me. My subconscious brain is way down there. It's way down the path in terms of making this video. And the consciousness is struggling along. It's got to wait for the sentence compositions to come, and the rest of it, it's got to construct it and put it all together. But the brain already has it in the notepad, and it's just perfecting it before it can fly out of my mouth. It's adding the proper nuance, the right flavors, the right zing. It's giving it, it's taking all of its learned resource and trying to apply. Don't touch your nose, that might look bad. It's trying to apply that to perfecting the conscious performance. So an emotion is something that's built out of pieces. It's built out of pieces of pain, pieces of ding 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 ding, little taps on the key. But it doesn't have the dong 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 that our brain knows as pain. It has a different signal, a different frequency, and each emotion has a different tone to it, a different flavor, if you want to call it that. And that's why we've been able to label them, is because they have a general feeling that we can convey to each other and be able to say, yeah, I felt that weird, song. Yeah, I've heard that song in my brain. The I feel guilty because I was a son of a bitch. Yeah, I've done that. Yeah, and so, frankly, I don't really want to get into a whole complex conversation about, building a standard model for sensation and, explaining the difference between guilt and envy, or, some other phenomenon of our emotional dissonance. The fact is, all those emotions have almost, here we go. They're childish. They're things that can make a child cry, but most adults aren't going to, they're going to feel them, and they're going to say, oh, I know what that is, fuck that. They're not going to be owned by them. They're going to know that it's useless, there's no point in it. They're going to do something to negate it, to defeat it, because they've done it before, either right or wrong. I mean, clearly you can rationalize your way out of guilt, and maybe you shouldn't be. Maybe you should be having it harp at you. But even if it does harp at you, it's like the Anacondavat argument that somehow guilt is the worst feeling in the world. And I'm like, says you. I could feel that all day. I mean, compared to what? Especially when I'm not guilty. Guilt when I'm not guilty? Yeah, I'm really not afraid of guilt about things I didn't do. Yeah, I ain't gonna even, that won't even brush me in a hard way. That's just the whip, gliding across my nutsack or something. It might even feel good. I might like it. Yeah, feeling guilty for something I didn't do, that might end up making me feel good about myself. Anyway, I don't want to get into this whole. Emotions are really different. They're made of different stuff. It's the difference between a photon and an electron, difference between a photon and a neutron. There's just no point in comparing these two things and saying they're the same thing. You could say they're made out of the same stuff, but no point in saying they're the same. Yeah. Now, I guess dissidence would be an interesting word to use, that all emotions are a kind of dissonance, a kind of brain frustration. So you could say that all emotion is frustration, and that there's just different flavors of frustration, and that all frustration is just conflict between some kind of good thing and some kind of bad thing. So, love would be the bad thing of I don't feel good about myself, I'm not good enough, I need to be king of the world, I'm underdone, I'm incomplete, I'm insufficient, and the good of being affirmed, being comfortable with myself, being self-satisfied, self-actualized, I've completed my mission, the burden is lifted, no more weight on my shoulders, I don't have to go to work, kind of the feeling. Break a little. Okay. Anyway, so emotions are just, I think it's all photons, it's all just some sort of pain mechanism, but it's just how you compress the spring. And if you compress it really quickly, we don't feel it. Pain has to be a slow compression. But if you compress it really fast and jab that little button, you'll fool our brain, and it'll have a sense of dissonance. It'll have a sense of something's not right. I'm frustrated, I'm tense, I'm irritable, I'm anxious, I'm poised, I know there's a decision I have to make, I'm excited even, everything's turned on, tensed, but it's not the same as pain. It might be made out of it. Might be made out of little tiny jabs of it, but it's not the same as. So anyway, I'm just hoping this. I mean, I knew as soon as I saw his video, I was like, oh, what? I'm gonna have to waste half an hour talking about the difference between, certain kinds of sensations, and we can't just use words in some kind of general way and say, look, nausea is not necessarily painful, but it's just so fucking obnoxious that it might as well be. Can't we put it in the same category? Do we really have to parse negative sensations into all these categories? Can't we just say bad, good, feel bad, feel comfortable, feel dissident, uncomfortable, aggravated, hostile, excited even. These are states, and that the value component is visceral and loud. The bad of pain is as wet as water. Okay? The bad of pain is wet like water. It's just not something you can miss. It's not something you can misinterpret. The interpretation is in its very substance. The wetness is part of its identity. It's the entire identity of pain is its badness. Its repulsive, repugnant, hostile nature, function, actuality. So anyway, yeah. Well, I made it. Yeah, I'm really getting too old for illnesses. It's weird how life works. I mean, you start off kind of hating to deal with things, and then you get in that middle range where, yeah, I can deal with that. Yeah, I can take that. Yeah, I can take that. And then I'm kind of sliding into a range again where, damn, I just don't have the patience for it. I just don't. So anyway, till next time and such. So forth and whatnot.